Is that loud in your ear? Got him. Hi, what's up? Wake up. I need you to wake up because I get to let you know what the theme will be for Switch for the 2020-2021 school year. Yes, it's gonna be great. My name is Leslie, and I probably know a handful of you, but I'm sure there are tons of you guys that I don't know. So I want to tell you a few random facts about me so that we can be best friends, because what I'm about to tell you, like, we gotta be close. Like, we gotta be here to like really. Okay, so a few random facts about me. My favorite color is black. Random facts. I used to work at McDonald's overnight shift, like from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. for 3 years back when I was in college. It was the worst. If I had to tell you one thing not to order at McDonald's, can I legally say this? Don't drink the sweet tea. Other random facts. I used to have 2 pet frogs. They were little tiny tree frogs. One was named Spring Break, and the other one was named Prince Charles. We called him P-Chuck for short. They both died like maybe 2 weeks after I got them. Oh, that's not funny. They were so cute. All right, so now that we're best friends, I get to let you know the theme for the 2020-2021 Switch year. Like, this is the first time that we are letting a large group of students know. And so the reason we do this is because we want to set our intentions for the year all together. You guys are leaders. People believe in the power you have to change the world. And that's what this whole talk is about, whether or not you are going to change the world. So last year our theme was Yesterday, Today, Forever, where we rallied around this idea that Jesus Christ is consistent and constant in an ever-changing world. Because y'all, I can't even, let's not go there. 2020 has been emotional, to say the least. I'm glad that we planted a flag in the fact that Jesus Christ does not change no matter how crazy the world gets. So this year, we are gonna take a step further into the truth. And the theme for Switch 2020-2021 is going to be so good, I promise. But listen, I gotta be real with you. I kind of don't want to tell you because I'm afraid that if I just say it and you're like, cool, then we move on. Like, there's gotta be some groundwork we gotta lay before I let you in on the theme. So just commit to sticking with me through this talk, and then I promise I will let you know what the theme is. So here's the thing. I recently found out that you can ask just 2 questions and you can predict the likelihood of whether or not someone's actually going to change the world. And so today we're gonna camp out on these 2 questions for just a little bit, because I want you to know that you are a world changer, but it's not enough for us to just say that and believe that. There's actually things you have to know and do. And so we're gonna ask the 2 questions, and I'm curious what your answers are. The first question is this: do you ascribe to the Disney doctrine? I know, you're like, Disney doctrine, what is that? It kind of goes something like this. It can be summed up like, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are, anything your heart desires will come to you. That's the Disney doctrine. You've heard it before, right? Can we play the music, or is that copyright? You've heard it before, right? This is the Disney doctrine, right? It says when you wish, things will come to you. So close your eyes and bow your heads and cross your fingers and cross your toes. And if you could just imagine like a 4-leaf clover, if you have a rabbit's foot, that's cool too. And no, we're not about to pray. We're about to wish. The first wish is we're gonna wish to end world hunger. Everybody together wishing to end world hunger, okay? The second wish, we're gonna wish for 1,000 more likes on whatever platform of your choice, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, just 1,000 more likes when we open our eyes. And the last thing we're gonna wish for, because this is really personal to me, I've always wanted a tiny pet dragon. And so I just want, when I open my eyes, for a tiny pet dragon to just appear here on my shoulders. Okay, on the count of 3, I just want everyone to wish together. 1, 2, 3. Do you say amen at the end of a wish? Okay, open your eyes. Duh, that didn't work. I was just proving a point. Yes, you get it. Wishing doesn't work. Like, even the dictionary defines wishing as the want or desire for something that cannot and probably will not happen. See, wishing just doesn't work. You can want something all you want, but until your want has action, it's just a wish. Yes, you can quote me, tweet me, at me. Yes. So what's better than making a wish? Having some hope. There's actually this guy, he spends his whole life studying hope. Like that's his literal job. He's a professor at a university and he's written a book. And he defines hope this way. Hope is a belief that your future can be brighter than your past and you have a role to play in it. Think about it, all three parts. Your future can be brighter than your past and you have a role to play in it. Let that sink in. So story time. Okay, when I was a kid, I'm gonna say I was 6 years old. I was probably closer to 12, but we're gonna pretend like I was still a really young kid. And I remember like walking out of the front door of my house, sitting on these brick steps. It had like, the sun had set, the stars had come out. And so I look up in the sky, I try to find the brightest star because it felt like if it's not the brightest star, you're probably not making like your wish for real. And so I look up and I make my wish. I just set my intention. I focus on the star and I wish, I just wanna be able to eat fast food breakfast sandwiches whenever I want. Like, it doesn't matter as long as there's strawberry jelly, like I'll take an egg white grill from Chick-fil-A, sausage biscuit, whatever it is. I just want unlimited access to fast food breakfast sandwiches. Why was I such a weird kid? So wishing doesn't work, but let me tell you a story about a time I had some hope. So I went to this conference, I was in high school, and think like thousands of people in an arena, powerful leadership talks, worship, all of that. And there came a point at the conference at the very end where they were showing a video of, you know, this town that was just ravished by poverty. And they said specifically, I remember, for less than a cup of coffee a day, you could feed this kid for a year, or these people, right? And they passed out these plastic cards and you could look at the face of these children and, you know, adults and whoever, and you could choose to sponsor them. Me, I was somewhere between high school, college, like I was a little bit older, maybe 17, 18, maybe 18, 19, but I was working a minimum wage job. I didn't have a lot of money, but looking in the face of this child, I was like, I have hope that this child's future can be brighter than their past. It wasn't about wishing, right, that they would have food to eat, or wishing that, oh, because we're in this auditorium singing these songs, that these lyrics would just go feed this kid. Like, that's not how it works. The whole point was that I had a role to play. I had to be hope. I had to actually take action. Like, I remember going home, finding my credit card, knowing like I'm not making that much money. Like, I don't have extra cash just lying around, but I know I can do something. And so on that faith and with that hope, put in a little credit card number and sponsor this kid for as many years as I was financially stable as a teenager. So no, it wasn't perfect, but I acted, right? Here's the point. Wishing waits. Like, it's suspiciously inactive. See, wishing waits for something to change or some good thing to come to you, but hope seeks out those opportunities. Hope gets its hands messy. Hope decides to go do the work. Hope says, because of what Jesus did for me yesterday, I have a role to play today in making someone else's tomorrow even brighter than their past. Wishing waits and hope hunts. You want to talk about ending world hunger? Don't just wish that world hunger would be over. I need you to hunt out opportunities to feed someone who is hungry. You want to talk about ending racism? You can't just wish that everyone would get along. No, you have to actually hunt down opportunities to talk about justice, to have empathy, to engage in those conversations. You want to up the moral standard of your friend group or the people you're around at school, then you need to hunt opportunities to actually be the moral standard, to call people out in love, obviously. But you need to look for these opportunities. You have to hunt for it. Don't just wish for things to be different. What's better than making a wish? It's having some hope. It's being some hope. Like, listen, guys, let Disney teach you to dream, but let God show you how to go. Wishing waits, but hope hunts. So I said that there were two questions that could predict whether or not you were actually going to change the world. The first one was, do you ascribe to the Disney doctrine? Like, do you just live your life on wishes, or do you actually have hope? The second question is this: do you believe that you have power? I know it's not a really flashy question, and it's easy to just be like, yes, I believe I have power. I believe in Jesus. I go to church. But let's actually think about it. Do you believe that you have power? So there are lots of different types of power, but I know that you possess at least two of them. One of them we talk about a lot, your influence. And one of them we don't talk about enough, your authority. So let's talk about how to harness both of them. So influence is a good thing. It's basically like when you watch a YouTube video and they give you a discount code for this thing they just reviewed and they influence you to go make a purchase. Great, wonderful. Influence is a good thing. It is not a bad thing. But authority is even better. So let's kind of compare the two. Influence can be canceled. I personally don't ascribe to cancel culture. I believe that people deserve second chances, even if their actions should be canceled and the dumb things they did or said should be canceled. But you see it all over media. You do one thing and people are ready to unsubscribe, unfollow, put your information out there, call you, blow up your phone, just try to ruin your life because they don't like that you had influence and now they want to cancel that. That's a reality of the world we live in right now. But God's authority is indestructible. You cannot destroy God's authority. There's nothing you can do. Since the beginning of time, everything he set into motion is just living out its course. God's authority is indestructible. So influence and authority, both are good and you have both. But my prayer is that this year we will lean into our authority even more. And I know you're like, what power do I have? I don't really have that much authority. I can't even get my parents to let me post what I want on TikTok. Listen, you have so much power and authority. And I just want to read a few of these over you right now. You have power to resist Satan. You have power to cast out demons, to speak in new tongues, and to heal the sick. You have power to destroy strongholds and arguments that set themselves against God. You have power to control your thought life. You have power to cure diseases. You have power to make disciples. You have power to withstand evil. You have power to do even greater works than Jesus himself did while he was here on earth. You have power to rule the earth on behalf of and in partnership with God himself. You have power to have self-control, love, and a sound mind. You have the power to hear and understand and follow God's voice. You have the power to proclaim the good news and to be the good news. You have the power to obey God more than you obey people. You have the power to disarm ungodly rulers in authority. You have the power to obey your parents. I know it's hard, but you have the power to do it. You have the power to discern and understand the Bible. You have the power to be an example to adults everywhere. You have the power to do the seemingly impossible because with Jesus, nothing is impossible. You have the power to tithe and not worry about your finances. You have the power to do the will of God, and you have the power to call out what is wrong and to encourage what is right. You have power. Listen, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is alive in you. And I know that sounds big and scary, but listen, just start small. Look for opportunities to use your power and your influence in order to bring life. Start really small, even down to littering, right? The earth was created to give us life. When you litter, that snuffs out life. Look for those opportunities to step in and to be life. So when we started this talk, I said that there were two questions that could predict the likelihood of you actually changing the world. We're actually gonna draw it out. So grab a pen and some paper and let's get started. All right, so the first thing you wanna do to start is you're gonna think of an issue in the world that you wish were different. Just jot it off over to the side. That's just to help us stay focused. Okay, so then you're gonna draw a straight line from the bottom of the paper to the top of the paper. You can kind of think of it as an elevator, but the bottom floor is called I can't, and the top floor is called I can. This essentially is your power line. Now just go ahead and draw a straight line across the center of the paper. And on the far left side, you're gonna write the word pessimistic. And on the far right side of that line, you're gonna write the word optimistic. This is your hope line. So let's see which quadrant you fall in. Think about your cause. And if you say that you feel like you have power to do something, but you just don't have any hope that things are gonna change, we call that the quadrant of futility. It's when you say, see, I can, but why? It's not gonna work out anyway. So still thinking about that same cause. If you say that you have no hope and no power, then we say you're just resigned. That's where you say, hey, it is what it is. I can't do anything, and even if I could, it wouldn't work out well. We call that quadrant resigned. Okay, so maybe you didn't fall in either of those other categories, but maybe this is you. You say, when I think about this cause, I have hope that things could be different, but I really can't do anything about it. Like, I don't have any power, right? We call that the quadrant of victimhood, right? It's the belief that a better future is possible, but I can't do anything about it. And then maybe none of those were you. And you find yourself at a place where you actually have hope and you actually feel like you have power. And we call that the quadrant of bravery. That's where you say, I believe I can create change and I believe that a better future is possible. So which one did you fall into? Here's the bottom line. Hope and power come from God. When you show up to a situation full of hope and full of power that comes from God, you will literally change the world. Think about David. He had hope that his people would be free from the oppression and taunting of the Philistines, and he had power to pick up a slingshot, and that confidence came from God. Think about Esther. She had hope that her people could be free, and she had the power to show up to a king in the face of death, and that confidence came from God. Think about Moses. He had hope that his people would no longer be enslaved and that they would find their identity as God's people. And he had the power to go to the very family that he grew up in and lead his people out of bondage, and that authority came from God. Think about Noah. He had hope that God was still good even when the world was bad. He had hope that a storm was coming when there was not a cloud in the sky, and he had the power to do the math, to follow the plans, and to keep at it even when the world taunted him. He had hope and power, and his authority came from God. Think about Paul. He had hope that other people would experience the same redeeming love that he experienced from Jesus himself, and he had the power to stand in front of thousands and to preach the gospel from being enchained and imprisoned. What's your excuse? He had hope and power from God. Listen, the Bible is just one long story of person after person showing up to what looked like hopeless situations, full of hope and full of power that comes from God. Story after story, time after time, we see God do it. Listen, greater is he who lives in you than he who is in the world. That's the whole point. You have hope and you have power, and it all comes from God, and you can go change the world. Listen, God can do anything through anyone, and that includes you. We started off this whole thing saying that we could ask two questions that were going to predict the likelihood of whether or not you are going to change the world. Do you have hope, and do you have power? We know that hope and power come from God. And so it is my pleasure to finally let you in on the theme for Switch 2020-2021. Here it is.
We're not just wishing for a better future. We're confident that Jesus working through us is our assured hope. The greats before us knew it.
And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope.
One story of God's goodness shared. One prayer of repentance prayed. One day in God's word lived out. One wrong made right. One injustice disrupted. One act of love displayed. One power move at a time. We're claiming the full life Jesus promised to us. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is now alive in you. They say only the luckiest of us will become great, that the world will swallow the rest of us alive. But I say, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. They ask where our message, our confidence, our source comes from. Where our belief that we can make the future brighter than the past comes from. Where my authority to cast out darkness and my validation to make dead things alive again. Where all this power, this hope, this strength comes from. 2 words.